So, a bit of information going into this little, and I mean in quotes, little complaint. Because I'm going to be strictly talking about AEW, and of course, most of the week, because I missed out on a Dynamite review. I missed out on, of course, doing my. I'm going to do a late review of Full Gear, because technically I'm not in that type of energy to go over my new pay per view like Full Gear. Eh, that's going to be the final pay per view of the year till February of 2021. So hopefully you guys are prepared for that one. So over this nearly calendar year of AEW Dynamite that they have missed out on it's like I think 2 episodes this year because of NBA basketball. I respect their resiliency. I don't respect some of the guys that they have in certain accord because I think like some of it's a bit overrated. I think some of the guys that they're not pushing are underrated, and some that they're allowing to at least solicit promo time makes very little freaking sense. Like, I really don't care that QT Marshall is part of the Nightmare family. Just understands is that it'll always be in his head that he is literally on television more than Brian Pillman Jr. because he knows Cody and the Young Bucks. And why Brandon Cutler's like feeding out main events on Dark because he literally knows the Young Bucks. So other than that, we're going to be talking about, of course, the commentary. And, of course, everybody been mad hyped up, of course, since the launch of AEW Dynamite. That, oh my god, Jim Ross is going to be back on live television, calling with, of course, Tony Giovanni that people knew during WCW Nitro. And when he roasted nearly everybody on that episode of TNA. And oh my god, Excalibur that created PWG and all the hellscape that was Smarky Wrestling. And all he can call down is a Fujiwara armbar, a Tope Suicida, Melter Driver. And his personality is looking like a guy that you probably punched in the face in the freaking Starbucks. There's no quotable lines other than him just shouting the freaking wrestling move. Mr. Wrestling 3 was more quotable than this guy, and all he had to shout out was super kick, super kick. There was a counter, and he was having fun the entire time when the Young Bucks came kicking everybody on sight when Adam Cole was part of the Bullet Club. And I remember that, because back in 2016, they actually gave a reason to at least watch a bit of Ring of Honor. And plus, I was bored. What was that, like 16 at the time? So that's one of the more hyped factors into commentary. And Jim Ross, Tony Giovanni, sometimes Taz, because of course they have a reputation in the business. They sound professional. They're quotable. They're well known personalities. They sound like they can do sports as well as professional wrestling, and people like them. I was confused as hell. I mean, like Chris Jericho was even a better commentator than Excalibur because he had a semblance of a personality every time he was on the commentary. He had better intel, more education on the move, and he was actually able to gel with Jim Ross and Tony Schiavone, even though he's supposed to be shown as the heelish, annoying wrestler and not a commentator. On some parts when he was on Dynamite Not Wrestling, that's what he would do. And yeah, Excalibur acting like a brain dead slow child whenever it comes to whatever the Young Bucks could do, whenever MJF does something, and he's just there to shout out the move and barely any other entailing factor that makes him try to sell up a pay per view. And that should be important, especially when AEW is not over the brink of, these guys are like, what, over a year right now of a wrestling fed. And it might be quite a while until they even think of having the strategy of at least doing monthly pay per views. And that's dependent if they can even last the 3 years left they have on the TNT contract. That I hope they do and I hope they succeed. But by God, yo, You need to release Excalibur. You need to, and I'm gonna get this a lot. It's like AEW needs a firing squad. They need a firing squad. I'm not saying that you shouldn't get these guys some work. 'Cause of course, it's the middle of a pandemic, guys. It's going to be tough enough to even find indie work as it is because of most of the health risks going into it. So I can understand why. But over the pileup of contracts I'm seeing, I'm just understanding what really pushes you guys to even think that, oh my god, these guys are fun in the indies. Why doesn't that work on national television? Jungle Boy and Marco Stunt don't work for national television. I mean, sort of Jungle Boy because he looks appealing. In some sorts. He's not that bad of a wrestler. He just doesn't have that much of a personality because Luchasaurus is literally more exciting. And Marco Stunt just looks like a pedophile's dream, except until he has to say his real age. Yeah, Jay Cutler that doesn't do anything. Peter Avalon and their gimmick was literally being jobbers for a year. Sonny Kiss, that if he does a stink face on the guy, poor dude is going to get Vietnam flashbacks. Chris Jericho has like a fat abs. I don't know how that's possible. He literally has an E Honda belly. You know where he has still a gut and he still got abs? That's literally Chris Jericho. And that's sad too. I don't like roasting one of my favorite wrestlers of all time, but that's what he looks like. And of course, all of the juiced midget NXT backwater jobber freaks that they keep on this roster. I'm obviously so happy that the Mr. 10 guy is somehow so amazing that he jobs out to Cody 3 times, loses to nearly any other lower carder on the roster, and now his biggest gimmick is is like ripping off something like Magnum TA with the mandible claw or something like that or whatever. I think I got the wrestler wrong, but you get the point. And then you have the gall to put him with like Tully Blanchard. I mean, FTR, it's a given. They're at least going to be booked to be looking legitimately the old timey wrestling like group, and they at least look, behave like they're important. I can understand that. Sean Spears is a his literal wife is better than him, and that's depressing in its own factor. You fire him, you fire whatever the hell Abaddon is. She's garbage. She came off with this rip-off Sue Young zombie chick gimmick, and she comes around not even getting she can't even handle constructive criticism, and that happens with a lot of pro wrestlers these days. I swear to God. And this is coming from myself. I'm not even a pro wrestler. I'm not even that built. But whenever I'm being like, you're fat and you're causing a lot of risk in the ring, I'm going to be fat shaming, racist, misogynist, all this garbage. Billy Gunn shouldn't have brought his kid here. He he just looks like he's gonna join the Dark Order anyway. The Dark Order itself, I had a bit of more potential for because at least it looks like a legitimate faction. But we know technically the only people that are important is Anna Jay and Brody Lee, and he's happy right now because at least he's going to be brung up as a monstrous main eventer soon. By God, and everybody else is just a jobber. Is that really how we're gonna do with this AEW? I mean, Tony Khan. I'm happy enough that he brought a peek into actually trying to get back pro wrestling on major television. Big ups to him. But he shouldn't be in a major creative. He shouldn't ever. It's really not that smart, especially when you're trying to have a pay-per-view sell with your biggest merch seller, one of your more interesting, your more funner characters, Orange Cassidy. And I don't mind if he's getting a reaction from the crowd, he's getting major pops, and people are excited to see him. By all means, do whatever you can to get him more screen time. But nobody wants to see John Silver against Orange Cassidy on pay-per-view. Nobody wants to see a retarded singing number with Chris Jericho and MJF. Sure, caught a lot of people off guard, and yes, the major payoff did happen with MJF joining the Inner Circle with Wardlow, but it's you guys merely lost to NXT. Come on, and that just makes MJF a character that I thought at least was a at least had that basic heel benefactor. Always feel like he controls every part of the room. And sure, I'll be a bit interested what's going on with the Inner Circle MJF dynamic. But by God, it just feels a bit sad. And I want him still to succeed. But right now, MJF just lost a tiny bit of my interest right now with that little thing. Especially when I don't want to rewatch it. And you really didn't sell anybody on the factor of your potential top heel in the company having a freaking singing number and nobody wants to rewatch it. I have very less to say about Cody. He at least bigs up his claim to being one of the more topper stars on the roster because he was a jobber on WWE, and whoever thinks that his dashing gimmick was memorable, there's the door. And of course, the his time and legacy, the time when he kept getting pimp slapped by Randy Orton back in '07, Stardust, and him backwatering off like it's a major comeback experience. Like, oh my god. Wow, people really had that much potential for Cody Rhodes. And I was just asking back when he was released, why? Sure, the guy had a look. He was athletic. Not a bad looker. Smoking hot wife. And it's just, he's not going to be that captivating as a main eventer, especially in the WWE stage. But good for him that he made his own Fed. Good for him that he's doing successfully, especially for some people that's been doubting some parts of AEW. It's good that he made it so far as he did. So I'm not going to disrespect on Cody Rhodes as many people want to do, but yeah, I feel like some people be on his dick a bit too much, especially for certain wrestlers that are doing decent. Like when I was bringing up the reign of Kofi Kingston and Drew McIntyre, like it is great that they're doing well for themselves. Just know that no people are going to react as they want them to react to. So, yeah, you get rid of the private party. They're just Street Profits 2.0. You make Taz and his Team Taz thing act act crazy and try to say some disrespectful stuff. You let Lance Archer let off on his own. I don't think it was a good idea to have him managed by Jake the Snake. I mean, first off, yes, it would have been great because he's not that much of a prolific talker. But you could have just had him throwing guys around, beating the piss out of dudes, and getting a spot to the top of the card. That basic. Makes him a monster heel, makes him kick ass, and makes him psychotic. You don't need a talker for that. That's just my opinion on the matter. Came up talking about commentary, and here I am trying to fire, or at least trying to fix AEW in some states. Really off, but I'm just going to title it as I think it fits this video. Other than that, that's what I got for this video. If you guys think differently, I would love to hear your comments down in the comment section below. Like this video, try to get me up to 30. I'm still waiting, but other than that, thank you for taking your time to watch the video. Of course, my SmackDown review is already out. Go off and try to watch that one. Try to link it down, try to link it on the video or something. Other than that, that's it for me.